So why do we document things? Documentation provides a lot of background knowledge about how the business works so that we can replicate it and use it for different processes. If you remember from the first week, we talked about the different processes within an organization. For example, we go through the finance cycle that tells us how to raise cash. We use that cash to buy things in the expenditure cycle. We also pay for time of our employees in the human resources cycle. And we pay for production if we're a manufacturing company. All of this is designed to generate products that we can sell to our customers, and we can deal with our customers and interact with them in a way that makes them happy so that they will buy more things from us. All of these are tracked together in an accounting information system. So with documentation, we are enabling process standardization, meaning that I can document and explain how accounts receivable works every single time. So if a new employee comes in, they know exactly what to do. If an auditor comes in, they know my process that I'm following, and so they can find out if I'm deviating from that process. Another way that we look at documentation is simply in the concept of employee training. So let's say that we have a business that's pretty successful, and it's successful enough that we want to franchise it out. Think about a McDonald's, or a Chick-fil-A, or a Wendy's. These companies all have a standardized process that is so precise that you can get the same Big Mac in Pittsburgh as you can in New York, as you can in Paris. So we have processes that are easy to replicate, meaning we can hire anybody to come in and cook French fries or flip a patty, and they are easy to measure. So we can evaluate how much volume is going through these franchises to evaluate the performance and whether we need to increase our marketing or add some promotions and other things. So we use documentation whenever a new employee comes in to explain what they're supposed to do in their job, regardless of what function they are, from a burger flipper to a salesperson to an accounts receivable clerk. Internal audit is going to use documentation to make sure that we are in compliance with regulation, such as Sarbanes-Oxley. Additionally, they're going to evaluate the steps that our employees are following to see whether we are following them efficiently and effectively, and suggest improvements to that process. The key thing that the internal auditors care about is securing our documents. So things like checks and receipts and records that are used to capture all these transactional data. If I have a document, like I have here, a check that I'm sending to a supplier, I'm going to identify certain types of risk that are associated with that check. For example, if somebody could write a blank check or change the amount once it's been written. And then they're going to identify specific controls that should be placed over that highly sensitive document to prevent the specific types of fraud and errors that we would see. The internal auditors are going to look at this documentation to figure out who is responsible for documents and assets. Finally, we're going to use documentation to help with communication, communicating with different partners and interested parties about the operations of the firm. For example, we're going to look at it for compliance, so we can provide proof that we are obeying the law. The Internal Revenue Service, or the local tax authority, want to look at our documentation to make sure that we are complying and paying our fair share of taxes. Investors want to look at our financial statements to make sure that they have projections for future growth in their value of the stock. We share information with our partners, which include our customers and our vendors, so we can help them be successful. They can anticipate our supply needs, and we can anticipate whether an item will be in stock within a certain period of time. Banks want to be assured that they are going to be paid back on their loans with interest. The board of directors is going to look at our documentation to make sure that we are acting in the best interest of our shareholders. And last but not least, management is going to look at this documentation to identify areas where they can improve processes, find incentives to pay their employees, and to control costs and increase revenues to increase value in the firm.